Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a few weeks since I uploaded another lore video, but here we are. We're going to cover the basics of what's happened in the last 3 seasons, leading up to season 11. We've got a lot of ground to cover, so let's dive straight in. With all the events of Shadowkeep and the nightmares happening, we also had a big threat to deal with: the Vex offensive. The Vex were assaulting every part of our system, pouring out from the Black Garden, so we were tasked to stop them. We discovered an old foe, the Undying Mind, true to its name, had come back. So to combat it, we crafted a giant Vex portal in the tower. Wildly terrible idea lore-wise, but it would have been amazing to use in the tower. We assaulted the Black Garden again, summoned the portal there, used it to pull in the Undying Mind, killed it, and repeated the process in a million different timelines to wipe it out for good. Next up, we have the Sundial. After killing the Undying Mind, Osiris has a vision of utter darkness, while checking out the futures in the Infinite Forest. He blames us for it, and reveals that the culprits behind it are a trio of very powerful Scion Flayers, who are using his creation called the Sundial. The Sundial itself had been built by Osiris in secret, shortly after the Curse of Osiris campaign. He had been overwhelmed by guilt of losing his friend Saint 14, so he had hoped that he could use it to find Saint at a point in time where he was alive and could bring him forward into the future. He tried using his reflections and echoes to find Saint, but failed, and hid the Sundial, feeling that all hope had been lost. The Scions discovered the Sundial, and set to work to try and reverse the results of the Red War, and bring back all the Cabal that had been lost. Osiris learns of this, informs the Vanguard, and enlists our help to take them on. Along the way, we find time-lost items that help us pinpoint a moment in time where we can find Saint 14. The first time we meet him, we see him at his lowest point. He had just escorted a bunch of people to Mercury, but had been ambushed by the fallen House of Rain. They had all died. Saint was the only one left standing, and his light was about to fade. But we stepped in, destroying the Fallen. We gifted him his weapon, the Perfect Paradox, and gave him something even more powerful: hope. We showed him a vision of the city as it was in our time, the city that he helped inspire to build. He then vowed that he would be more like us. After many more Sundial runs, we find another time-lost item, and use it to find Saint 14 again. This time, hundreds of years later, when he is in the Infinite Forest looking for Osiris, and is trapped by the Vex, who had built a mind, Agioctist, the Martyr Mind, for the sole purpose of draining him of his light. We intervene, saving him for a second time, while with his help, we take down the mind that was built to stop him. We beg him to come back with us, but he says to just open the gate for him, and he'll meet us the long way around, at the entrance. After all, it's just a few more years of fighting Vex. Cue the most badass entrance of a character, and one of my favourite cutscenes of all time. I'm just gonna play it for you now.
My name is Saint 14. They call me the greatest titan who ever lived. But I would be dead if not for you. Since the day I met you, I swore I would make it my duty to follow your example. I'm still trying.
How insane is that? Oh, far out. I bloody love him. Anyway, the Flayers were defeated, but it wasn't over yet. All three combined into one. Voltron! No, I'm kidding. Inotum, Oblivion's Tribune. After a long battle, we take it down, destroying them once and for all. The corridors of time were now open to explore, and with that, we found a curious puzzle, which the community rallied to solve in an amazing effort, and we got treated to an interesting sight. The grave of an unknown guardian, a sword laid into the monument, and the voice of Saint 14 talking about us, giving a eulogy, begging us to perform one last miracle and return home. Saint decides he wants to build a memorial for the city, and so the great Fractaline hunt was on. We built an obelisk in the tower and powered it up with Fractaline. Once finished, Saint has us go out and put the finishing touches on his project, the new Trials of Osiris lighthouse. We thought we were done with the Red Legion. Oh, how I wish we were. But the Scion Flayers had a fourth sister, one who was too young to join them in their mind melding. She knew we were too strong to deal with on our own, so she boarded the Almighty and set it on a collision course with the tower. We couldn't do a thing to stop it, so we turned to our old ally for help, Rasputin. Anna Bray and Rasputin had been travelling around the system searching for things from Anna's past. With Anna's help, Rasputin agreed to help us, but he would require our assistance in return. We discovered old Seraph bunkers on Earth, Luna, and Io, and drove out the enemies inside. We then used those in conjunction with powering through a lot of public events, where we were sending up a bunch of satellites up into the sky, which then got harder to do. Oh, and Guardian games happened, I guess. I'm a Hunter main, so yeah. In the bunker on Io, we see a map of the solar system. Right on the edge, we see representations of the pyramid ships slowly making their way through the system. Rasputin was watching all of us, but he thought that we, in particular, were special. As thanks for helping him out, he let us in on his biggest secret and greatest shame. He told us the story of how he killed his own son. I've covered this in greater detail in a separate video, but for now, here's the paraphrased version. In the Golden Age, Rasputin built an exo he called the Siddhartha Golem. He had given him a copy of his mind, and sent him out into the world to learn more about it. Eventually, he died. Probably when the collapse happened. During the Dark Age, a ghost found the golem and resurrected him, naming him Felwinter. Rasputin detected this and tried to remotely shut him down. When that didn't work, Rasputin hurled warsats at him, and so began many years of Felwinter and his ghost, who he named Felspring, running and hiding as the sky fell down on them. They looked into bunkers, much like the ones that we had discovered, to see if they could find out more knowledge of their assailant and why he was targeting Felwinter. This led them to taking control of a mountain that would later be known as Felwinter Peak. Time passed, and eventually Felwinter would dive into the bunkers again, hoping to discover a way to rebuild humanity's civilization. He would end up joining the Iron Lords, take on the title of Lord Felwinter, and help them bring order to a lawless world. With their help, he found out about Siva, discovered where it was, and rallied the Iron Lords to go help him take it. Little did they know that this was a trap, that had been set up by Rasputin ages before to take out Felwinter for good. The Iron Lords descended on the replication chamber, battled their way through it, and ultimately died after Rasputin unleashed Siva on them. Once he had realized what he'd done, he wept for the only family he had, for the terrible crime he had committed, for the tyranny that he had unleashed. Rasputin wept for his son. The Almighty eventually started being spotted by everyone in the tower. It was getting closer and closer, to the point where it almost eclipsed the sun itself. At the last possible moment, Rasputin threw all he had at it, destroying it, and we watched as the main body of the ship crashed just outside of the city. Right around this time, we see the representations of the pyramid ships just crest the orbit of Jupiter. We then see the Drifter and Eris Morn travel to one of Jupiter's moons, Europa. And that's it. Whew, that was a lot to go through in a short period of time. I originally filmed this and recorded this right before the season of Arrivals arrived. So I have a lot of new lore to get through. I'm pretty excited. You may have also heard my daughter running around in the background. Yeah, so she's very loud. She's very excitable. But I do love her. Anyway, be sure to check out my other videos. I'll link them in the description below. I really hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, leaving a like and comment would be very much appreciated, as would subscribing. And if you want to keep up to date on anything I post, be sure to hit that notification bell. In saying all that, I just appreciate that you view it to begin with. I'm the Ice Warrior 209, and I'll catch you all next time.